Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, I am Jamie. I am a mother to a 2-year-old daughter. I married my high school sweetheart almost 8 years ago, and I'm just here making videos about my life, cleaning, organization, fitness, healthy foods, just life in general. So I would love it if you would like to subscribe if you already aren't. At this point, I probably posted a video a couple days ago or so, or if I haven't, then it will be soon, on how I stay organized. And I think one of the biggest contributing factors to myself being organized is because I've adopted a minimalistic mentality in my life, and I've decluttered everything. I don't know what the exact definition of minimalism is, but I define it as keeping around the things that I need and keeping around the things that I enjoy most in my life. I don't think I need a lot of things in my life. I don't need multiple pairs of shoes or every coffee cup in the world to make myself feel happy. And I know a lot of women associate happiness with items, with things, like they collect bags or shoes or jeans or whatever it is. Their happiness is tied to those actual items. But I've realized that the more stuff that I've had, like in the past, the more stuff that I had, the more stressed I became. I would look around to my house and I would just see everything, all of the things, the clutter, and it would almost make me angry because I just felt so stressed seeing all of this mess and clutter around. About a little more than about 2.5 years ago, because my daughter is currently 2 years old, I was getting ready to welcome her into this world. I was gonna be a first-time mom, so I was getting all these really nice things for my showers, and people were giving me all this baby stuff, and I was bringing all of this stuff into my house, and it was just kind of becoming overwhelming. I think a part of this was that whole nesting thing, which is a total something that is not made up. I kind of was going through this nesting thing, but something had to be done because I was bringing a lot of stuff in, not taking stuff out. So along with taking on a new mentality as well as nesting, I got rid of a lot of things and I adopted this new mentality of a more simple, minimalistic mentality ultimately. I implemented this into my life, and it just has simplified my life entirely. I've noticed a change in myself and everything. So I'm going to share with you how I implemented that minimalistic mentality and made my life more simple. The first thing that I did was to live a more simple life was I stopped keeping things around just because I thought that I might need it one day. Isn't that why we all tend to keep a lot of things around? Whether it's clothes, shoes, old furniture, home decor that we don't use anymore. I've done this before, and I've realized that I very rarely use that particular item again. But even a lot of time, if I did use that thing again, it wouldn't be that big of a deal to buy. And that's what I always told myself. You probably won't ever use this, but if you did, if that small chance that you did, it's probably something you can buy and it won't be that big of a deal. I honestly can't tell you a time that I have thrown something out and then later on down the road decided that I wish I still had it. It's never happened. I've thrown it out, forgot about it. I've tried to keep clothes before because I'm like, well, what if I fit back into them or this or that? But by the time that rolls around, it's out of style. I don't even want to wear it anymore. So just don't keep things because you think you might need them. The second thing that I did in this minimalistic mentality and to live a more simple life was I started looking at items that I had in my house that could be multi-purpose. You don't need every appliance out there. All that does is create clutter, and then you have to find a place to store all of that. So for example, I don't have a food processor, but I do have a very, very, very good Ninja blender that pretty much doubles as a food processor. So I'm sure there are times that it would be nice to have a food processor, but my Ninja blender does a pretty good job, so I get basically 2 appliances in one. There's so many of those nice appliances out there, like, oh, a quesadilla maker, and that's great and everything, but it was, we did have one time, and it was just so big, and I had to find a place to put it, and I just didn't know I could make a quesadilla on my stove. So I understand that the quesadilla maker may have a lot of extra features, but in general, a quesadilla made on the stove will be great. I don't need that extra appliance or whatever you want to call it around in my house. Another example of a multi-purpose item in my house is a toaster. Our toaster just went out not too long ago, and I was like, oh, I need to go out and get a new toaster for my toast. But we have a toaster oven that we use all the time to make stuff for my daughter, and I'm like, well, I'll just use that, and it toasts my toast. It's great. It's easy. So now I don't have a toaster and a toaster oven. I just have one appliance. So definitely try to keep things multi-purpose, and you won't have as many things. The other thing that I did was I would take a break before I actually broke down and bought something, or a pause really. Ultimately taking some time before I actually made a purchase. I'm not a big shopper, and I really never have been. I don't buy a lot of things, but when I do find something that I want, or if I get it in my head like, oh, I need this, I really, really, really want it. And it won't leave my head because I want it, and I want it now. And I've noticed that when I walk away and give myself time to think about it and process it, maybe it's a day, maybe it's 3 days, maybe it's a week, I find that I kind of forget about it and I decide I don't want it anymore. So try not to buy something unless you give yourself some time. Like I said, it can be, try to make it a couple days at least, maybe a week, and then see after that week period if you still really want it and you really think you need it. Sometimes I'll find myself walking into a store, and when like I said, I'm not a big shopper, and I don't find a lot of things that I want. So when I see something, I'm like, oh, I want that. I really need that. I can feel this excitement kind of bubbling up inside, and I get really excited. And so, I've learned to just relax, take a breather, take a break, and revisit that store in a couple days and see if I really want it. And that has made a huge difference because I don't end up buying near half of the stuff that I used to because that break just allows me to reevaluate, decide if I really want it, and I don't bring as much stuff back into my house. So the last thing that I did was, instead of buying new things, I would borrow stuff from friends and family. I didn't realize the benefit of this until we bought our first home. And then more so when I had my daughter. After we bought our first house, we started having people over a lot, entertaining people over for cookouts, parties, all of that. And I realized that I didn't have all the stuff that is needed to throw a party. Things like platters or those like silverware holder caddy things. So I felt like I needed to go out and get that stuff. Or I even think for like Christmas one year, I asked for a bunch of like those fancy platters or whatever, stuff to throw parties. And then I would realize that I would only use these things a couple times a year, definitely less than 5 times a year. And it just was accumulating so much that I actually had bought a shelf, a plastic shelf, to put in our basement because I had all of this extra stuff that I only used a couple times a year, and it just didn't make sense to me. But I do also have a friend that has everything. I think we all have those friends that have everything. And she really likes to cook. I do not, so maybe that's part of it, but she has everything that you would need to throw a party, all that stuff. So I just started borrowing stuff from her, and I could obviously just give it right back to her when I was done. And she was actually very happy to lend me whatever I needed for my parties because she also didn't use it that much. So she felt like she was getting more use out of these items. And then I even more saw a benefit of borrowing things from friends and family when I had my daughter. Since most of my friends had already had kids and babies by the time that I had my daughter, I was offered clothing, shoes, hats, a swing, a little baby bathtub, everything. So it was nice, especially when your kids are really little, because they don't use things for very long. They're not in clothes but for a couple months in the very beginning. Or how long do they actually use that little bathtub that you set in your bathtub? So it was nice to be able to borrow those things because I wasn't, using them much anymore. We're going on a beach vacation here in a couple of weeks, and there's some things that I know that we will only use one time. We do not live close to a beach at all. Nowhere close to the ocean. So there's a lot of things that my daughter needed. She's 2. And I had a friend who has 2 daughters that are a little bit older than my daughter, and she's lending me some things for the beach. And it's just nice because we'll just use it once. Now, of course, if we had another girl, maybe a little bit different, and I would invest in those things because I know my daughter would use it. But I don't know if we're going to have another girl. And plus, even if we do have another girl, will we end up going to the beach when my second daughter is 2 years old? I don't know, because the sizing might be off. So borrowing the stuff from my friend for this vacation has been huge. So not keeping things just because I thought that I might need it one day, or making things multi-purpose, or taking a break before I actually broke down and bought something, and borrowing things from all of my friends and family. I've just noticed a huge difference in my lifestyle and my life in general. It's not as cluttered and stressful. And I also noticed that once I got rid of something, I actually never thought about it. It's like you're just so worried that you're gonna need it. It's so hard to let go, but once you let go of it, you're like, wait a minute. It's gone. It's gone. You don't need it anymore. Or, if you spend a lot of money on an item, sometimes it can be hard to let go because you spent a lot of money on it, but I would just think, well, I'm not going to use it anymore, so it's being wasted either way. I'd get rid of it, and once I got rid of it, I never thought about it and I never missed it. This fairly new lifestyle of minimalism is an ongoing thing, and it never stops. So don't think you do it once and then it stops. I declutter and organize a lot of my closets every January, for example. It's crazy to me how I have to do this every single year, because I do it right, and I have that mentality, throughout the year that I need to keep up with it and not let it get cluttered and not just throw things into my closet. But you know what? Every January, there's always things to do, things to go through and get rid of and declutter, because you know what? Life happens and things are going to happen no matter how hard you try, and that's okay. Just know that it's an ongoing thing, and I feel good knowing that every January, I'm going through things and simplifying my life. I picked this time of the year, for example, just because it's kind of a downtime. It's right after the holidays. Things die down, settle down for us. We just don't have as much going on, and it's very cold in January where I live, so we're just not as busy. So it's just, it's a good time to set the mind that I'm gonna do that, the mindset that I'm gonna do that, because there's really no excuses and I always get it done. Just think about it right now. Think about how many pairs of jeans you wear, or shorts or shirts in your rotation. Because if you're anything like me, I just tend to grab the same ones over and over. And then I probably could get by with way less than what I have. So think about that. These are the kind of things that started getting me thinking about all of this and how few things that I need in my life. And once it started to clue in, it helped me realize how important living a more simple and minimalistic life was. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I really have enjoyed this new way of living, and I hope you can adopt some of what I said today into your life, and maybe your life will be a little bit more simple. But thank you guys again so much for watching. I appreciate everything, and leave in the comments below if you have any ways to simplify your life and make it more minimalistic. I would love to hear what you guys have to say, and give me a thumbs up if you enjoy this topic, and I will make more like it. I will see you guys next time. Thank you.